10.2 is quadratic functions. So what we're going to do today is to graph without making a table. All right, so your first goal is to graph. Now, yesterday was y equals ax squared and y equals ax squared plus c. Today we're going to be doing y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's what you're going to be graphing. So that's your first goal. So second half we're going to do tomorrow, which is to graph quadratic inequalities. And everybody know what inequality is, right? Yeah, no? Inequalities? What's an inequality?
Stupid sign.
Elegance, yeah. It's the less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, stuff like that, okay? So we're going to save that to tomorrow. We're going to start with our goal number 1 today. Remember, I'm going to rewrite this again. The standard form of quadratic function is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That is the standard form. Now, the reason why I had you give me a, b, and c is because you're going to need it today. All right. So remember, a is in front of the x squared. So when I ask for a, don't give me the whole shebang. I just want the a. I just want the number, okay? And b is in front of the x, and c is your constant. All right. So here we go. We're going to start by, so instead of making a table to graph, we are going to start by finding the axis of symmetry. All right. So to find the axis of symmetry, which is the line that divides the parabola in half, axis of symmetry, which we call it AOS for short. And remember, it is a line, so it is a line, invisible line that divides the parabola in half. You do have to memorize this. The equation is x equals, remember it is a line, so you got to have the x there. If you don't give me that x, I'm taking points off, okay? X equals opposite of b, so whatever the b value is, you take the opposite and divide it by 2 times a. So axis of symmetry is x equals negative b, or opposite of b over 2a. Opposite of b over 2a. All right, so you do have to memorize this. All right? And because if I were to graph this, let's say if I had a parabola that looks like this, remember axis of symmetry goes right down the middle right here, right? So there's my AOS. X equals negative b over 2a, right? Vertex is always on the axis of symmetry. It's always on there, somewhere, because it goes right through the middle, and vertex is the lowest point or the highest point. There's my vertex. So the vertex, if you know the axis of symmetry, and because vertex is a point, right, it's xy, because the vertex is on the axis of symmetry, I know the x-coordinate. The x-coordinate is whatever you find up here, which is negative b, or opposite of b over 2a. That's your x-coordinate. And to find the y-coordinate, you just take that x value and you just plug it into the equation they give you. So the y will be to plug in your x, which you find the x, and plug it in, which is this x right here. You plug it in. And then so it's like making a table. When we made a table, you plugged in an x to the equation, you found the y. That's exactly what you do to find the y-coordinate if the x-coordinate is given by this point. So this is your vertex, okay, which is opposite of b over 2a comma y. Okay? So any questions with that so far? Probably the best thing to do is just give you an example, right?
Yes.
All right. So you do have to memorize that axis of symmetry is x equals negative b, or opposite of b over 2a. And vertex, this is your x-coordinate for the vertex, and you plug it into the y equation to find the y-coordinate. All right? So this is all we're going to cover today. So here's example number 1. And I want all the components on your assignment and on the test when I ask you to graph and label. And so now when I'm asking you to graph and label, you're not making a table. This is what you're going to be doing on the test. Okay? So I'm going to say graph. Y equals 2x squared plus 4x minus 3. Very first thing I want you to do is find your ABCs. So what's your A?
2.
2. B?
4.
C?
-3.
Okay. That's what I want you to do. Now, remember I said before we start graphing, I want to know whether the parabola is pointing up or pointing down. The A tells me that, right? A is positive, right? A is positive, so is this going to point up or down?
Up.
Yeah, it's going to be up. So you know your parabola should be pointing up by the time you're done graphing. Okay? Any questions so far?
No.
Okay? Alright, so the next thing is, now we got to find the axis of symmetry. So this was step 1. Step 2 is find your AOS, which is x equals opposite of b over 2a. So whatever your a and b that's over here, you're going to plug it in there. That's what you're doing. So this becomes negative of 4, so opposite of 4, over 2 times a, which is 2. So opposite of 4 is negative 4 over 2 times 2 is 4. So what's negative 4 divided by 4?
1.
Negative 1. So x equals negative 1 is my axis of symmetry. Any questions so far?
Wait,
So, go ahead.
why is it 2 times 2 down there?
Because it's 2 times a, and a is 2.
Oh.
Okay? Alright. Alright, so now I'm going to start my graph. Alright, so I'm going to come over here and start my graph. Here we go. Y-axis, x-axis. Let's locate our axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry is x equals negative 1. So here's negative 1 on the x-axis. And remember, it's a vertical imaginary line that goes right through x equals 1. So there is my AOS at x equals negative 1. Now I'm starting my graph. Now the parabola should go somewhere around this, right? Because remember, this line divides the parabola in half, so it's going to be somewhere here. It could be here, it could be here, depending on, we'll find a vertex. Okay, ready? So we found our axis of symmetry. Now let's find the vertex. What is my x-coordinate of the vertex? Negative 1, thank you. Right? Whatever you find here is your x-coordinate, so you put that right in there. Okay? Now we know our x-coordinate, but we got to find the y. Remember I said you take this x you find and you plug it into the original. So we're going to plug it into y equals 2x squared plus 4x minus 3. So y is equal to 2 times negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 minus 3. Just like the table, right? If I were to make a table, this is what I would do to plug my numbers in to find my y value, right? So negative 1 squared is 1, and 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4 minus 3. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. So my vertex is at negative 1, negative 5. Okay, I'll let you guys catch up, because I know I write fast and I talk fast. I apologize.
Your speed is fine.
Okay. So, everybody plot your vertex. Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. So my vertex is at negative 1, negative 5, so I'm going to go to negative 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's negative 5. There's my vertex. See, the vertex is on. So now I know my parabola. Now because I know that parabola is pointing up, I'm going to put a little smiley face. If it's pointing down, I will put a frown face. So now I start the shape of a parabola, right? Now, to graph the rest of the parabola, you need another point. So we're going to pick a point. Okay? Now, my recommendation is if you use -1, 0, or 1. Pick one of those. So we
Zero.
already
Just
used
one.
-1. Just one. Okay?
Zero.
So we're going to use 0 because we didn't use 0 yet. We used -1. Now, if you want to use 1, that's okay too. It's not going to matter. Okay? Now, if you use all of those, then I will go to -2 or 2, and so on and so on. So now we got to find the y value. So we're going to plug into the original again. So 2 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 3. Anything with the zeros, they go away. And 0 minus 3 is -3. So 0, -3 is my another point. Plot that point. So -1, -2, -3, 0, -3 is right here. And because parabola is symmetric, what we do is we're going to take that point and we're going to reflect it like a mirror to the other side. Now, if you notice, this point is 1 unit away from -1, so I'm going to go 1 unit this way. So now that's at -2, and there's my reflection. So
Smiley
this
face.
is a reflect. Oh, look at that. It is a smiley face. So extend your parabola up. Extend it up. And guess what? That is your parabola. And that's how you graph without making a table.
Are you going to mark us down if our parabolas like